Prince Harry and Meghan are said to have recently made many moves to return to the UK. What is worth mentioning is that this supposed traitor is being actively lured back by the royal family, which understandably is causing quite a bit of frustration in the hearts of the people. Well, what do we have today? So, a royal commentator is arguing that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle don't need to be lured back into the royal fold. Excuse me? So, this is happening after reports that King Charles was trying to encourage his sister and Harry's aunt, Princess Anne, to persuade the two of them to come back to the UK and eventually return to the royal fold. But royal commentator Gareth Russell told GB News that Harry and Meghan certainly don't need a member from the royal family checking up on them, adding that intervention wouldn't go down very well with the British public either. Well, of course he's right. There is no need to lure Harry and Meghan back to the royal fold. It's more a question of whether or not they're going to be allowed back in, if you ask me. And I don't think any of the working royals are very excited by that idea, including the king, who has to know what an absolute disaster that would be. And why is it Princess Anne's job to deal with the two of them? I mean, what, is Charles persuading her to take up the role? Reminds me of that other report we heard that Charles was supposedly trying to make Catherine reach out to Meghan. The royal family is ignoring them altogether. It is clear from the amount of PR puff pieces Meghan and Harry like to put out, suggesting that they're so happy, they're so content in their lives, so successful, when we know the opposite is true. And I mean, why would they want to return anyway? Meghan Markle has a great business idea on her hands. She's going to make a lot of money selling jam. Of course, she used to like selling her body, but if you look at the photos of her lately that are not photoshopped, you can see why she had to make a new plan. So Meghan was desperate for William to see that photo of them on the balcony where she is giving William bedroom eyes and Harry looks miserable as always. And I guess she just couldn't deal with her jealousy towards Catherine. I mean, she was a Z-lister and she was written out of a cable TV show. And even then, all her time on that stupid show was with her skirt up. I never watched it. I never had to. I've seen plenty of photos. I also do not believe for 1 second that Anne would try to convince the two of them to come back. I mean, she knows what the royal family needs, and the royal family needs those two like a hit in the head. I mean, they're doing what they want to do in life. They're not doing very well at it, but whatever. The royals have more than enough problems without adding those two in the mix, so let them stay in the US and good luck to them. Moreover, the UK would quickly become a republic if Harry and Meghan were somehow welcomed back into the fold by King Charles. Never has been anything done successfully by those two. They're just barely surviving these days, and I would have thought the penny would have dropped by now when it comes to WME. But we still haven't heard the news that WME has dropped Meghan, so who knows what's going on there. But I'll tell you one thing, Harry certainly does not need to be lured back to the UK. Daily Express, just pass that message along to them, please, and stop using your headlines to suggest that people in Britain would want them back in the first place. If Harry and Meghan somehow come back to the UK and to the royal family, then there are a few things that become very clear. Charles loves the power and the majesty of being king, and I guess Camilla loves being the queen, even if half the country still despises her. And some people are saying that it's a mistake to believe that public opinion matters when it comes to the monarchy. Well, the point of the monarchy, I guess, is that people technically don't have any say on how the highnesses act or the decisions they make. But the thing is, in order for the monarchy to have continued support, they need to care about what the people want. So I guess we can whine all we want about Harry. It might not make any difference to Charles, but it certainly should. And if you think of it, what would certainly attract them back to the UK would be money and fame. These are the only two things they really care about. And these are the two things they are desperate for to sustain their extravagant lifestyle in California. But unfortunately for those two, and fortunately for the good people of Britain, there is no way they're going to get their hands on any royal cash. I mean, Harry has said it before, it's not even enough money for them. And Meghan, well, she just is excited whenever she sees money. There's not enough fame, though, for somebody who regrets that he's not going to be the future king, and somebody who believes that her talent authorizes her to claim First Lady of the UK. So Harry and Meghan, don't bother applying for a visa to the UK. And Harry, I don't know what's going on with your visa in the US, but you probably shouldn't bother applying for a green card either. Another royal expert, Sarah Vine, is saying that Anne should be the one to lure the Sussexes back. Okay, so I guess the plus side is that nobody wants them back, least of all the taxpayers. If at all they did come back, fine, let Charles deal with them. I would hate to see them come back. I mean, if they come back, then I think we're going to hear increasing calls for a republic. It's important for people to stay alert and think objectively about this matter. Whoever made up this idea that Anne of all people is going to be used to lure back the unwanted? And why would the royal family want them back anyway? To do what exactly? Charles has made it pretty clear. He doesn't think they're wanted, he doesn't think they're necessary. So the evidence is that they don't really get invited to anything, whether official or family events. They don't receive any funding. There's not really much contact with those two. No response at all to Harry's request for a Sandringham Christmas, and maybe a 12-minute PR visit. There was no offer for him to join his father at Sandringham. He was not invited to stay for dinner or overnight. I mean, Charles didn't even bother delaying his flight for very long. Now, if this is the new PR strategy trying their hand, then they need to find a new PR person. Return of Harry and Meghan. No, I'm just not buying it. I don't believe it's possible. I mean, they're going to stay in the US at least until maybe Donald Trump has something to do with that. I didn't even know that anybody was trying to lure them back. Honestly, I don't believe these reports. Let them stay where they are as far as I'm concerned. There is no way that Charles is going to be able to persuade his sister Anne to lure the two of them back. I think this is just something that Sarah Vine has come up with. For what reason, I don't know. I mean, last visit, let's remember, the king only gave Harry about 12 minutes of his time, and he didn't offer Harry a place to stay for the night. I mean, Harry made that frantic dash with the supposed intention to head to Sandringham with Charles, but the sad thing was, he wasn't invited. And I mean, there's always this assumption, especially among the people who are not fans of Harry and Meghan, that they're so desperate to get back in with the royal family and move back to Britain. But I actually disagree. Now, I despise them, but still, just look at them. They're acting like they're happy. Do I believe they're really happy? Well, no, of course not. But that's not really the question, is it? Now, a father is always going to care about his children, even when they mess up big time by marrying a narcissistic, sociopathic witch like Meghan Markle, somebody who has led Harry into ruin. As king and head of the family, Charles has a very hard decision to make, but it has become very clear with their attitude at the moment. Harry and Meghan are simply not welcome in the country. So I guess Meghan is an outsider once again. She's never going to come close to Catherine's class and Catherine's elegance. It's like comparing an elegant thoroughbred horse to an aged cart horse. Meghan Markle is always an also ran. Now, it could be that Harry is becoming increasingly desperate to be welcomed back to the UK because of some problems with his visa. But Meghan can do what she's doing now without Harry. She doesn't need Harry's help to run this new American Riviera Orchard or whatever the name is. But anyway, back to the main topic. So, Sarah Vine, I think this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard from her. Princess Anne cannot stand the two of them. There's no way she would agree to lure them back in. I mean, who is trying to lure Harry and Meghan back? Absolutely no one. This is just another clickbait article. And the visa problem that Harry's experiencing, even though I wish it would cause him to get kicked out of the US, it's not going to. Maybe he'll get a fine max. But it does open a big can of worms for anybody else in that same situation. Now, Harry does love to sue, and he would probably try. But as for citizenship, I don't think he's ever going to apply, because somebody at some point, I hope, would let him know that he would have to sign away all his titles and styles. No prince, no line of succession, no dukedom for Archie to inherit. And of course, Meghan Markle would also lose access to everything. So I don't believe it's ever going to happen. The truth is, the Brits don't care for the two of them, and Americans don't either, so I don't think they need to be lured anywhere. Harry has proven himself to be totally incapable of just making a living, and Meghan Markle's in the same boat. So I'm sure he's always going to be begging his father for another handout, even though apparently in the past his father told him, "I'm not a bank." And I thought they were supposed to have millions stashed away. What happened to that money? So, of course, I don't believe for one second that the king would ever even think about bringing Harry back. They don't have anything to offer, and they could never be trusted. This is just another example of Meghan Markle's fantasy. They can wish all they want to, but the truth is, neither the royal family nor the people of Britain want them to come back. So, we have reported that Prince Harry and Meghan don't need to be lured back to the UK. How do you feel about this issue? Don't hesitate to leave us a comment to let us know.